I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 27 of Tales from Godric's Hollow. We're coming to you a day late and $1 short. That's my fault. I apologize, but here we are, episode 27. We're going to be talking about chapters 11 and 12 from the famous Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I am the Muggle of the show, your co-host, Josh Brown. I am joined by the professor of Patronus himself, Matt Sonnenberg.
Good evening, Josh.
Hi, Matt.
How you doing?
Doing good. First of all, thank you for pushing this recording date back a day. I know changing schedules deeply upsets you, but I do greatly appreciate it. With the holidays and everything going on, I forgot yesterday was Monday. You know, just throwing that out there.
Yep, I know how it goes.
Yeah.
But I was still planning on doing it last night. But as long as you didn't come to me and say I can't record it all this week.
Oh no.
Yeah, that would be more of a problem.
Definitely was going to make time. It was about 4:00 in the afternoon or so when I realized that it was Monday. I didn't have work yesterday, so that threw my schedule off completely. Different kids' schedules all weekend, birthdays, other family things. It was just a mess. But by the time I realized it was Monday, definitely hadn't done any reading. Did not see any reading happening in the near future because of everything going on in the household. So recording just seemed to be out of the question. So I thank you for pushing it back a day. I thank the listeners for waiting patiently another day for this amazing episode. I promise to make it worth it. How about that?
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Did you have a good New Year's, Matt?
Yeah, I did. This New Year's was actually coincided with my annual Casino Royale poker party that I go to.
I saw that on Twitter. I'm desperate for you to tell me more about this.
So this was the 11th annual Casino Royale party.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a long time now. I guess it's actually since high school.
Have you been to all 11?
Yes, I have.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's the one part, like, I'm not a big guy for parties. I really don't care for a lot of parties, but this is one that I do not want to miss.
Sure.
So it all started from, you remember the James Bond film of the same name?
I remember hearing about it. To be fair, I'm not a James Bond fan.
Okay.
This is going to come as a complete shock to you, Matt. And I know what you're going to be thinking immediately, but just hold the horses. But I have never seen a full James Bond film.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not a one.
I've seen bits and pieces of some, and I'm just like, nope, that's not for me.
How did you make it through the Nintendo 64? Did you ever play the video game?
Oh, yeah, I played GoldenEye like nobody's business, my friend.
Okay. But you played the game and
Yeah.
never once thought I should watch this movie?
No, I went several years before I even knew it was based on a movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
That is shocking.
Yeah. And no, we're not going to start a podcast reliving
No.
all 86 James Bond films, but
There's not that many, but
it feels like it.
yeah. I wouldn't put that on you. So, but yeah, in 2006 they came out with the movie Casino Royale,
Mhm.
and it's heavily there is a scene at least that is heavily based around this poker tournament.
Okay.
And of course the big thing though is it's a James Bond film, so everybody's dressed to the nines.
Sure.
And for whatever reason, all of my high school friends that I was hanging out with yet decided, hey, we should do this. Like during high school,
That's so
we
awesome.
had a number of poker parties.
Okay.
And so we knew how to play. We enjoyed playing. And we're just like, this is going to be a good reason to get together and have some fun, dress up, and have a good time.
Sure.
And it's just like everybody had a good time the first year. So it's like, let's do this again next year. And it became an annual thing. And we all get dressed up. You know, it can be anything from, you know, dress pants, shirt and tie, to 3-piece suit, to a vest, whatever you want to do.
Right.
The girls have all these like ball gowns and whatever they come up with every year. It amazes me that they tend to wear a different dress every year too. So
Of course.
I don't know where they get them all, but
You can't be caught going to the annual party in a dress that you wore the previous year, Matt. That's faux pas, my friends.
Sure. But yeah, it's a great tradition that we've gotten. It keeps our group of friends together nicely. It's something to do every year.
Has it grown? Like, have you added people? Have you lost people?
It changes every year.
Okay.
This year was a little on the smaller side. I think there were like 15 people at the party. Only like 10 of us played. But we've had it where we've had as many as 22 people playing.
Oh, wow.
And more that at the party that didn't play. So, I mean, and it's just in someone's house.
Okay, sure, yeah.
So, I mean, it can't grow too big.
Right.
But the thing that we do is every year that we tend to add something to the party. The people who host it are very crafty people.
Okay.
So that they're always like making decorations. Last year for the 10th anniversary, my best friend Tyler actually built a poker table.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we have this big poker table, and it became the final table.
Sure.
That was everyone's goal, to make the final table, and you get to play at this nice. It has the whole padded railing around the edge and the green cloth in the middle and everything.
That's awesome.
It's great. And we have winners bracelets every year.
Okay.
For whoever wins the tournament. We have last year for the 10th anniversary too. They really went all out, and they had other awards, trophies, kind of.
Cool.
And I don't remember what all of them were. Maybe I can get some pictures out of that too. But it's just this great event I look forward to every year. I love playing poker, but I don't get to play very often.
Sure.
And so that's part of the draw.
Yeah.
But
it's tough to get a group together on a regular basis for that.
Yeah, there's definitely a core group of us that have been there pretty much every year. I know the hosts have been there every year. But then myself, I know my best friend Tyler, I mentioned, that made the table. He's been there every year, because he also brings the chips that we use.
Sure.
So I know he's been there every year. But yeah, it's a great time. We all look forward to that party.
Well, this year you had an opportunity to make it themed if you wanted to. You could have done something special for this.
Yeah.
I'm just spitballing here. I mean, now I know it's over. But you could have recreated the speakeasy scene from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
It's true.
You could have had a lot of fun with that, Matt.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. I feel like there's an
that.
opportunity lost.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that crowd isn't quite as into Potter as I am. So.
Sure. Well, that's the first mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're hanging out with the wrong people, Matt. That's what it comes down to.
Well,
Harry Potter or bust, Matt.
We'll have to start our own party.
You're going to have to come here because I'm not going anywhere close to Wisconsin this time of year.
Okay.
Regardless, I'm glad you had a good New Year's. It sounds fun.
Yeah.
I did nothing fun or exciting, so let's just get that out of the way. No stories to tell. But I did put on Twitter the pictures that I promised on the last episode.
It's true.
Yes.
I had a few comments about those as well. Or I should say, a few people commented to me about them.
Okay.
Because they're quite interesting.
Okay. Because I got nothing back. I was hoping that somebody would like maybe slip me some hints here and there, and I got
No,
nothing, Matt. I got nothing.
Most people recognized what you got, and unfortunately, yeah, that they started commenting like I do. It's like, oh, he has to wait till the end of this book. Oh, he has to wait a couple books for that one. Man,
Is there a reason why Val wouldn't tell me what they are?
yes.
I was afraid you'd say that.
Val was right to not tell you anything because
Okay.
yeah, that the wand in particular. Do you know whose wand that is?
No, she wouldn't tell me.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's nowhere on the box. The packaging has nothing.
I was kind of wondering about that. Yeah. So,
I mean, it looks like the box is designed, like the film aesthetic, you know.
yeah.
But nothing, no names, nothing specific about it.
So the good news is most of the stuff you got, I'll be able to explain sooner rather than later.
Sure.
But yeah, definitely not yet.
I mean, I know what the 9 3/4 thing is.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yep.
And of course, my lovely Hufflepuff sticker. But the rest, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's the pendant with like the hourglass looking thing in the middle.
Sure.
Those things spin around, and
Okay.
there's writing around the circumferences of the rings.
Is it in English?
I don't remember now that I'm not old.
Okay.
It.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was, but whatever it said like meant nothing to me.
Okay.
But I'm sure
Yeah.
it means a whole lot to somebody else.
I will say all of the trinkets you got,
Mhm.
I'm slightly jealous of. I would like to have them in my own collection. But yeah, I can't tell you why right now. But Val did a good job of picking them out. I think I very much think you will appreciate them. Even if you appreciate them now,
Mhm.
you'll appreciate them more as you come to learn more about them.
Sure. It's just like the carrot it's dangling in front of my nose here. Like
Yep.
it's keeping me going, but it's awfully tempting, Matt. Yeah. I badly want to look them up. But once I go down that rabbit hole, I'm done.
I know.
That's it.
Yep.
Show's over. Put a sock in it. We have a lot to talk about this episode.
We do.
Again, these are going to be chapters 11 and 12 of The Prisoner of Azkaban. The third book in the Harry Potter franchise. I'm just going to put this out here right now before we get started. I was a little bored with chapter 11.
Yeah?
Yeah. First time in a long time I wasn't into it.
Okay.
And I don't know why. I just think because I mean there was like a big thing that happened, obviously.
Yep.
But there's just like a lot of little loose ends kind of getting pulled apart. You know?
Sure.
There was more questions than answers in the chapter 11, and I didn't feel like the story or the plot like really went anywhere.
Yeah. If anything, it opened up another can of worms for you.
Yeah.
And it was during a time where most of the school was gone because it was the holiday.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't like we didn't have a lot of interaction necessarily.
Sure.
With everybody that would normally be there. A lot of things couldn't happen. Like we couldn't play Quidditch because people were gone. They couldn't have classes and all that sort of thing. So it was very limiting in that respect.
It was useful for one thing, and that was Val pointed out and kind of better explaining why she associates the Harry Potter films with Christmas movies.
Sure.
And she's like, this chapter specifically, like how much detail they go into, like how much time they spend around the Christmas holiday, is why she associates that with Christmas movies. So
Yeah, I mean we're 3 books in, and every book spends time with Christmas.
yeah, but like Halloween's a big deal too. But I feel like Halloween, there's always something crazy going on. You know.
Yep.
Like there's too much story and plot development going on around Halloween for it to ever feel like it's Halloween. But Christmas, like everything just slows down and it's like, let's just focus on Christmas. So I get it.
Sure.
I kind of get it after this chapter.
It's good here.
There were 2 things in this chapter, which we'll get to. That might be some of the most devastating things I've read yet in 2.5 books.
I figured we were getting there.
Yeah. I was heartbroken, Matt. Devastated. Just
Yep.
it was hard to press on, but I did. So let's get to it. Let's talk about chapters 11 and 12. Starting with chapters 11, new characters, go.
Well, chapter 11 called the Firebolt,
Mm.
and we only had one brief mention of a new character. We don't really learn anything about him. His name is Derek, and he is a first year.
When he was addressed as just Derek, before the following sentence, which explained who he was, I'm like, who's Derek? Where did that come from?
Yep, out of the blue. It's like, oh, I mean, I kind of like it, to just show that no, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are not the only people who stay there over the holidays.
Right.
There are other people. The vast majority of the school does go home,
Yeah.
but there are a few other people here and there, such as Derek.
Well, when Dumbledore said it, I was like, wait, which professor's first name is Derek? Like, I'm pretty sure it's not
true.
Snape's first name, but maybe it is. I don't know.
No, we got Severus Snape,
Yeah.
Minerva McGonagall. Who else do we have there? Flitwick. I don't know if you've learned his first name yet.
I don't know. Derek
Yeah.
Felch?
Argus Filch.
Derek Hagrid.
Rubius Hagrid. So yeah. Derek, some random first year. I don't know if we even get a house for Derek.
I think there was a house when they were first talking about the kids that were at the table, and then
Okay.
like a
Yeah,
paragraph
that could
later they addressed him.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. I just have a feeling Derek's not a name I'm going to have to remember.
No. I think you can forget that name.
Yeah. Okay. Goodness gracious. First of all here, I had completely forgotten the fact that Harry was given a photo album by Hagrid of his parents.
End of the first book?
Yeah. Did not remember that at all. That was new information to me.
Sure.
Yeah. Just a giant revelation.
Yeah, it was Hagrid's going away present for the summer.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think. We do, in one of the movies at least, we see Harry pull it out again, and I'm wondering if that's maybe the beginning of the third movie, just as a reminder that he has it again.
Oh, kind of set up.
So that could be, like it's possible it was in the second one, but I'm thinking probably not.
It's kind of amazing, like how we went an entire book without a mention of something.
Yep.
And like then JK calls back to this one random photo album that,
Oh yeah,
like you didn't think would be important at all.
You've learned this time and time again. These little details are in there for a reason. It's just there's so many of them. It's hard to keep track of them all.
Yeah. This was the perfect example. Okay. We're just gonna get right into this, Matt. I have a theory.
Okay.
Okay.
We like theories.
Has nothing to do with the photo album. Let's just toss that aside. That's insignificant at this point. I am far more interested in the Crookshanks and Scabbers relationship.
Okay.
They keep getting mentioned. Okay.
Yes.
Like I know it's a new pet for Hermione.
Yeah.
Sure, it's it was a whole thing. like, we've barely gotten any mention of owls this book.
Well, they haven't had to send any messages.
I know. I'm just, there is a lot of attention being paid to Crookshanks and Scabbers.
Well, I mean, usually Scabbers could just sit around and do nothing, and like we said, he really did nothing. He's an old rat. I mean, there's no reason to talk about him. But now that we have a cat in the picture, like there's interaction with Scabbers.
But there's another cat that roams around Hogwarts. Like, this isn't the only cat in the entire castle. And granted, this cat's a little bit closer to Scabbers and whatnot, but there's something off with this, Matt. And I'm having a hard time really putting my finger on it completely, but I started to notice a pattern here.
Okay.
Whenever there's a lot of mention of Crookshanks specifically, it always seems to come around when Professor Lupin is not around. And I don't know if it's just like a substitute for like bringing up a character or whatnot, but there's something, it just feels like whenever Lupin is not around or is sick or whatever is when we start getting more references to Crookshanks.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember a Crookshanks and Lupin scene together or interaction together. The only thing I could think of is the train.
Sure.
But I don't remember what was Crookshanks put away? Was Crookshanks sitting on Hermione's lap? Like I don't remember the placement of Crookshanks on the train when they were coming to Hogwarts, where we first met Professor Lupin.
Right.
So that's the only thing that I'm having trouble with connecting, but it does seem to be odd that when Lupin isn't around or being mentioned in any way, shape, or form, Crookshanks is getting attention.
Okay.
Lupin disappears mysteriously.
Yep.
It's a few different times now throughout the year.
Yep.
He's been drinking some potion that Snape is making him.
Yes.
What's that potion for? Is it because he's sick? Maybe. But
that's what they've been telling people.
But again, the castle's full of liars when it comes down to it. I don't know if it's possible, Matt. If Lupin can, like, be a cat also. We've seen Professor McGonagall take the form of a cat.
Yes.
I don't know if Lupin has that capability. I don't know if maybe the potion is keeping him in his human form, or if it's allowing him to turn into the cat form for whatever reason. I don't know, but something is weird about that connection, and I don't know why that's sticking out in my head. But then at the same time, why would he be trying to eat Scabbers? What's Scabbers ever done?
Sure.
If Lupin is a cat, why is Lupin going after Ron's rat Scabbers? And they keep talking about Scabbers might not have magical abilities, or maybe he does and he just doesn't want to show them. He was a hand-me-down rat. Like, there's something weird about the rat too that I'm not quite certain about. But unless Lupin is the rat, but that doesn't make sense. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll give you this here.
Okay.
Back in chapter 5, they're on the train.
Okay.
She was fumbling with the straps of Crookshanks' basket as she spoke. Don't let that thing out, Ron said, but too late. Crookshanks leapt lightly from the basket, stretched, yawned, and sprang onto Ron's knees. The lump in Ron's pocket trembled, and he shoved Crookshanks angrily away. Get out of here. Ron, don't, said Hermione angrily. Ron was about to answer back when Professor Lupin stirred.
Where there goes
So-
that?
You do have Crookshanks, Scabbers, and Lupin in the same picture.
I don't know, Matt. I know what you're telling me, but I'm not fully accepting it.
Okay.
There's something weird with Lupin. He's taking some potion to do something. I don't think
Yep.
it's just because he's sick. Crookshanks seems like more of a character than just a cat. Something's up with Scabbers. And then, here we go. Sirius Black, we assume, is in Hogwarts, or has been in Hogwarts,
Sure.
from what we've been told. A painting was mauled, scratched, torn, shredded.
Yes.
Something with claws. Like a cat. Could Sirius Black be a cat? But why would it be trying to eat the rat? It's not like if he's going after Harry, why would he care about Ron's rat, you know? That still doesn't help me with Lupin and where he is.
Yeah, I think I have a problem with that one too, because when they were at the shop at the Magical Menagerie, where they bought Crookshanks, I believe they said that it's been there for a while because nobody wanted it.
Maybe it's been hanging out there. Maybe it's been on the run. That would be the perfect place to hide. It's hiding in plain sight. If Sirius Black had escaped.
But Sirius Black had only escaped like a couple weeks or months before they went to that shop.
I mean, that's true.
I'm under the impression that the cat's been there longer.
Years. Which takes me back to Lupin and why he's all raggedy and doesn't want to buy good robes, because he's a cat. Because cats don't care about fancy things. Except fancy cats.
Sure.
But Crookshanks does not strike me as a fancy cat, Matt. Again, the bulletin board is all over the place here, but there is something about Crookshanks and Scabbers that is more than meets the eye. And
Okay.
I feel like Lupin is involved. Sirius Black might be, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out the whole thing with him. I don't know. I'm just put a pin on that one, Matt.
I greatly appreciate the theory.
Okay.
And I'm sure our listeners do as well.
Tweet at me. Let me know if I'm good. Am I hot? Am I cold? Where we're at here. Don't actually do that.
Be interesting to see if you get anything out of that.
Yeah.
They've been pretty good about keeping secrets too.
They have. Our audience is fantastic. Yeah, there's just a lot of mention of Crookshanks and Scabbers this chapter. And then into the next
I will
chapter.
give you that, and I've never really thought about the timing of it before.
Mm-hmm.
But that is definitely something JK would do.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially like this chapter, because they were specifically talking about like where's Lupin, and they're like, oh,
Sure.
he's not here. He's not feeling well. You know, he Snape did tell him that he made the potion for him, but you know, like it was specifically pointed out that Lupin was not around, and at the same time, Crookshanks is.
Yep.
So I don't know. Okay. Heartbreak City here, Matt.
Yeah.
This is going to be hard for me to say. But I'm a little more than a little. I'm a lot upset that nobody has told me of the existence of the Committee of the Disposal of Dangerous Creatures.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a thing.
That's a horrible thing, is what that is.
It's basically your, I guess, maybe animal control of the Muggle world.
Disposal is such a horrible word. Like, Committee of the Controlling of Dangerous Creatures. Like, okay, I get it. You know, like dangerous creatures should probably be, you know, controlled, managed a little bit.
Yeah.
Disposal?
Yep.
I don't like that one bit.
I kind of wonder if it's a little bit of maybe more of a British term than you would like, and so it doesn't sound quite as pleasant.
Maybe.
But yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I could also see it being like the worst fear for Hagrid.
Yeah.
Like that committee does not seem to be something Hagrid's too fond of.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Because more or less everything that he thinks of as a pet is probably considered a dangerous creature.
Yeah, he does like those dangerous creatures.
This is something I know you don't have a copy of the book yet, but in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the book, the just the short book that does exist, I believe each one of those creatures has like a danger level associated with it.
Oh,
I think we kind of got a mention of that in the film. It was kind of glossed over. Like, I think there was one or two times when Newt mentioned like that there was a scale, but I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, I'm on the road right now, so I don't have the book with me that I can look at. But that is something I believe is in that book where they have like a danger level for each of the creatures.
And that's kind of what I was wondering. Like, was this committee around when Newt was rounding up all the Fantastic Beasts and trying to educate people, or was this committee, was there like a very loose organization that tried to manage these dangerous creatures, but then once Newt started like exposing them like he did that cause an official committee to be formed in retaliation for what he was doing?
And that's something I don't know offhand. I think it's something that existed in Newt's time as well. Because we actually get the mention of it in this chapter, I believe, when Hermione is doing some research. And they find about some of those old cases.
Yeah, but were there dates associated with those?
And well, in a quick Google search, there does seem to be a date, and I'm wondering if that's specifically from this chapter that we were reading, or if that was information that was added later.
Okay.
But from what I'm reading online right now, yes, the committee did exist prior. Like it existed back in the 1700s at least.
Okay.
So
then Newt was actively basically trying to go against what they were all about.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think their basic thing isn't necessarily that they want to get rid of them all. I think it's more, in my mind at least, it's if they are causing problems like actively within the magical or Muggle community,
like attacking students at Hogwarts.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because they're you see them in this case, they're not going after all the hippogriffs, right? They're going after one specific one.
Sure.
So they've deemed that specific one to be a danger, and so they're going to they want to dispose of it. Or, well, once they go through the trial, I should say. Right.
Which I appreciate animals getting a fair trial. Like,
yes. I like the idea, but the more I think about it, it's like, you can't talk to this creature.
Do they get a jury of their peers?
Yeah, and how are you going to get a verdict from a jury of hippogriffs? That's not going to work either. I'm so it still doesn't seem entirely fair. It feels like a nice gesture, but
right.
I'm still not 100% sold on that.
It's just window dressing.
Yeah.
Get the legalities and formalities out of the way, I suppose.
And for the record, it does say there was a case in 1722, but the hippogriff was convicted. and a Manticore savaged someone in 1296,
Okay.
and they let the Manticore off. So they do mention some dates in this chapter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then it does go date back quite a ways.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Still heartbreaking that they exist, but I get it.
Yep.
I love the comparison of interesting creatures and dangerous monsters are pretty much one and the same when it comes to Hagrid.
Yep. That's pretty much what we've been saying.
Yeah. But then Matt, like, things took a turn for the worse.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about dangerous creatures and hippogriffs attacking kids and all these horrible things that are going on, and just kind of glossed over the fact, just no big deal to anybody. The flobberworms are dead, Matt. They died from eating too much lettuce.
Yep.
This concerns nobody.
I think above anybody else ever have cared more about these flobberworms. I knew that would strike a chord with you.
It's just so laissez-faire, just not even a big deal. You know, like, oh yeah. Flobberworms are dead. Ate too much lettuce, no big deal. No big deal? Are you kidding me?
Especially when it was the students that were feeding them all the lettuce, shoving it down their throats.
Just heartbreaking, Matt.
I kind of get the idea that flobberworms are a dime dozen, though, and if you really like, they may have killed off that batch of them that Hagrid was watching actively.
Sure,
but they're not extinct by any means. So,
but I mean, like you said, like, it's not like they're just tossing lettuce into a glass jar that has a couple flobberworms in it, and like they're just overeating. Like, they are physically being pushed food into their throats. Like, they are being force fed. This is extinct or not, Matt. That's it's going a little too far.
Sure.
I am just not a fan. Not a fan. Where's Newt when you need him, Matt?
Yeah. We
alive?
don't have the end. We don't have the end of Newt's story right now. So,
do we not? Is that like confirmed? Are you telling me the truth there, or are you just tossing that one up there and letting me find out later?
Well, I mean, as far as you know, we don't. I can't tell you much else right now. You know?
I just want Newt back. I just want more Newt Scamander. Is that too much to ask for, Matt?
Not at all.
Okay. Let's talk about Christmas.
We like Christmas.
We like Christmas. We like Christmas here. We like Christmas at Hogwarts. You know who really likes Christmas?
Who's that?
Mrs. Weasley.
It's true. I wonder how much time she spends when does she start making these gifts?
The day the kids leave for school.
Yeah.
Is the day that she starts working on Christmas gifts. She has to, right?
I'd believe it. I mean, you kind of figure some of it has got to be done magically, or at least like we've seen shots of the burrow where I think like dishes are cleaning themselves and such. Right. Like, things can be done magically there, and so it makes it the one thing that it makes a lot easier is multitasking. So at least the little mundane household chores, she can kind of magic away, and even if she has to physically make some of the gifts or something, she has time to do that then. So I mean, that I think that does free up a lot of time. But I mean, you see just the big package of stuff she sends to Harry, and then you figure she does that for all of her own children as well,
right?
And so it's a lot to take care of. So it's hard to say exactly, but
the thought popped in my head, like, especially when they're running down the list of stuff, like the baked good that she sent along. Yeah, like the knitting and stuff. Like, I could see her totally sitting down and just like knitting, going to town, you know. But I was like, well, can she use magic for like the baking duties? Like the food prep, that would be super easy for her to do. Uh,
Well, I like to think she could.
yeah.
If you remember in Fantastic Beasts movie,
Mhm. Oh yeah.
you saw them go to town with the food there.
Right.
Now I think they probably maybe abuse that power a little bit more than Mrs. Weasley would,
Mm-hmm.
but you kind of see what's possible and how quickly things can be done.
Sure. I also feel like Mrs. Weasley probably has a lot of time on her hands.
Yeah.
When the kids are at school. Yeah.
Especially now that all the kids are in
Right.
school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Just a bored lady. Harry got a present.
Yes.
Harry got the Firebolt.
The Firebolt.
I had completely forgotten about this thing.
Just a brief mention
Yeah.
back in an earlier chapter.
Mm-hmm. Didn't think Harry would be getting one.
Well, yeah, from the description of it,
Right.
they were super expensive. The one in the shop was just a prototype, and they hadn't actually been released yet. So it's
Right.
and the only people ordering them were the pros.
Right. But I mean, he needs a new broom. It makes sense that he would be gifted this Firebolt. But from who, Matt? From who? Who sent the broom?
It's a big question. He has gotten a lot of mystery gifts before.
Mm-hmm.
I think a couple of these were mentioned.
A lot of theories thrown out there too about who might have gifted it to him.
It's true.
Dumbledore, sure, but not really his style.
No.
Like, I don't think Dumbledore cares too much about Quidditch. Like, he appreciates the sport for what it is. He enjoys the fact that the students play it and that they have such a great time doing it. I don't think he cares one bit about Quidditch or, the quality of broom necessary to be the best Quidditch player out there. I don't think that's something he would care about. And it's not like he knew Harry was, like, jonesing for that, like he would if he was giving him a gift, I feel like it would be a little bit more personal, a little bit more from the heart, something that Harry would carry with him with a little bit more special reverence, not just a broomstick.
Yeah.
So get that theory out of here. It's nonsense. Sirius Black sending it to him. Okay. I see it. But kind of weird still. Kind of weird with how expensive it is. Like, our good friend Oliver Wood brought it up in the next chapter. Like how weird and difficult that would be for somebody who's, on the run to go in and order and purchase something like this.
Yeah, just walk into the shop and say, "Hey, I'd like one of the fanciest thing you got."
Right. Here's a theory.
We like theories.
Yeah, but okay. So there's a theory, and then there's the first thing that popped into my head when all this was going on. Hermione's being very weird about the broom. Did she buy that for Harry? I don't know. It doesn't seem like. I don't know her financial status, but that seems like too big of a gift for her to give to Harry. But she's being really strange about it, like she, got McGonagall to take it away, to inspect it for jinxes and all that stuff. So I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that. The first thing that came to mind, though, Matt, with this mystery gift, I was thinking, who would have known Harry was in love with this thing, A lot of people would know that he needs a broom. But how many people would know that Harry was in love with this particular broom? Where did he see it at?
He saw it at, I believe it's Quality Quidditch Supplies back in Diagon Alley.
Interesting. Where did he take up residence for several weeks?
That would be the Leaky Cauldron.
Oh, conveniently in Diagon Alley.
It's true.
Who who did he make friends with in the Leaky Cauldron?
Tom?
Good old Tom. Tom number 2.
Yes, not Tom Riddle.
I have no idea why Tom would be compelled to get this thing for Harry Potter. Especially why he would give it anonymously. No idea whatsoever. But that was instantly the first name that popped in my head when I was trying to figure out who would have sent Harry this broom.
Sure.
It was Tom from the Leaky Cauldron. Don't know why.
All right.
I have no explanation, no reasoning for it, other than if anybody would have seen and known Harry drooling over that thing day in and day out for weeks on end, it was Tom.
I'll give you one more to think about.
Oh, God. Why do you do this to me, Matt?
Someone else who was there as well. Do you remember someone else he met just about every day in Diagon Alley?
Cornelius Fudge?
No, he was only there the first day, I believe,
Okay.
and then he kind of went back to his own business
That's
at
what
the
I
ministry.
thought. That's what I thought.
But do you remember, what was it? Ice cream sundaes every half hour?
Yeah, I don't know who that guy was.
Florian Fortescue
Ah.
ran the ice cream parlor. And Harry spent a lot of time there.
Yeah, he did.
And this man seemed very generous.
Yeah, but I also feel like he was probably just giving Harry a little extra just because, he knew Harry was there by himself.
Okay.
I don't know. Tom the shopkeeper.
All right.
The innkeeper. There's something about this guy. That
You're going to stick with Tom.
That's I don't know. That's just instinct. Pure instinct, Matt.
All
Again,
right.
Hermione's being real weird about it. So
But like you said, I mean, she did. I mean, if she gave it to him, why would she think there were jinxes on it?
Just to mess with him. She's been weird this entire book, okay? I don't know what her deal is, but she has been weird this entire book. She has not felt like she has been part of the trio from the moment they got to Hogwarts.
Sure.
They were cool before they got to school. Once they got to school, she's been different. Real different.
Ever since McGonagall pulled her aside?
Yeah. And that's weird, So I don't know. I don't buy that one bit at this point.
Okay.
Hagrid, no. Hagrid doesn't have that kind of cash. I mean, he's a professor now. I don't know what professors get paid.
It's true. He might have a little extra disposable income.
Snape's not getting it for him. Lupin, probably not. Like, that seems ridiculous for him. None of the other professors. And just running out of people that would possibly be getting this. It's not from the Dursleys.
It's true.
It's not from the Weasleys. Yeah, I don't know. That's who I'm going with. Tom the Innkeeper.
I like it.
Okay. Good. Hope I'm right.
We'll find out.
Yeah, go back to the Christmas thing though.
Sure.
We mentioned it earlier. I really appreciate the scene of just the few kids that are left at Hogwarts for the holidays, all sitting at the table with the professors.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant move. I mean, not only from JK, but to put it in Dumbledore's hand and say, there's only a few of us here. Let's just all eat together.
Yeah.
Because it might feel fairly normal for the kids to all go sit there at their tables, because I get the feeling that during meals, other than the feasts, when they're just having their daily meals, kids kind of filter in and out, and so the tables aren't always full.
Right. Yeah.
And so going in when there's basically nobody at the school and just sitting down at a table, as long as you had like one other person at your table with you that you knew and could talk to, it wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that abnormal. But
The eating times do seem to be pretty loose, like whenever you want to come down, depending on your class schedule and stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, this one in particular, I mean, it's holiday season, and when we get the numbers that there are only 12 of them at this table, it's like, okay, yeah, that's really sparse compared to the hundreds that there could be.
Yeah. But I appreciate the the intermingling between the professors and the students. Like, they drop the formalities. Dumbledore's like, there's no reason to sit at your house tables. Like, there would be like 3 of you at each table. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, let's all just hang out, and it makes them more personable to the students.
Absolutely.
It makes the students, especially the ones that aren't home for reasons that they're not super stoked about, like, maybe their parents, went on holiday and they had to stay back for a couple weeks at Hogwarts by themselves. Like, they might be bummed about that. So instead of making it worse for the kids by sitting at a table alone, they're just like, no, we're all here, we're family.
Exactly. Yeah. Parts of different houses during the school year, but we're still all family here within the castle.
Do the professors, can they leave for the vacation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I believe they can, because that's what we see here, is that the 12 at the table, only about half of them are students and half of them are professors.
Right. Okay.
And that's definitely not our entire staff.
That's what I thought, but
yeah,
just wanted to make sure. I want to know where the professors go. Where do they go?
they could have
things I want to know about.
They could have family to attend to as well.
Yeah, that's true.
If they want to, or it could be a rotating thing. Like, my wife works at a hospital, and so she has one holiday on, the next holiday off, and then the next year it'll be flipped around.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's kind of the same thing here. It's like some of the teachers are required to be there for certain holidays, while others can go off and do what they want, or they can stay there if they want to.
Sure. That makes sense. I like that theory.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Trelawney.
Yep.
She's a whack job.
Always has been.
Yeah. This is McGonagall versus Trelawney, round 2.
Yeah. And I just have to say, it surprises me every time how blunt McGonagall is with Trelawney. I mean,
especially for the students.
Exactly. It's sarcasm, bluntness. It's everything you would not expect. I like to think that McGonagall is more respectful of other people, but whenever she gets up against Trelawney, like, drops it all and just like, no, I don't like you. I don't believe in divination. You're a fraud. Sorry. I don't care what other people say. I don't care that there's students here, and just like every time.
Yeah.
Man,
she undermines her as a person, as a teacher, as she undermines the complete subject matter that's being taught. Like, it's hilarious and rough at the same time. And Trelawney just rolls with it, She's
exactly.
Like, no biggie.
I mean, I suppose she's probably been getting it for years, and that almost like it's like you don't think of McGonagall the bully or anything like that. But I mean, that's almost what it is.
Mm-hmm. I'd expect it from Snape.
Yeah.
So whatever happened in their past, it just feels like McGonagall hasn't let go of it. There is a grudge there that I think goes deeper than just she doesn't agree with that subject and the belief in that practice. There's more to it. Because she almost gets personal with it sometimes. So good stuff, though. Good stuff. one last thing I want to add to this chapter. I don't know what else you have, but I never want Sir Cadogan to leave his post. He's so perfect, Matt. Like
Yeah.
I miss me some ghosts and poltergeists in this book. Sir Cadogan has definitely filled the void of ridiculous characters.
Yeah, Sir Cadogan, he's good. He's good.
He's super drunk too.
During the holidays, yeah, definitely.
No kids to worry about. He is throwing a few back or two. But yeah, I mean, that's chapter 11, man. Like, that was just...
Yeah, the big thing was the Firebolt. Harry getting it and then it getting taken away, obviously.
Yeah.
Right at the end. But yeah, otherwise, Christmas celebration, like I said, there weren't really a lot of people there to interact with, so we didn't get a lot of interaction or moving the story forward or anything. Just
right.
a little more behind the scenes what happens during the holidays at Hogwarts.
Mm-hmm. And the big thing, I think, was something that was not written to be a big deal, was the Crookshanks and Scabbers thing. It was just, it kept coming up throughout the chapter, never in a big way, but it was a ever-present plot line through the chapter.
True. But at the same time, I think you have to go in again and say, if there are 12 people, humans at the school, then you add in whatever pets are there, and they make up a much larger portion of the population now.
I know. I'm just saying, Matt. Just saying. We have ghosts. Right. We have monks. We have poltergeists. We have all kinds of stuff going on in this castle that we could be interacting with. But they kept going back to Crookshanks and Scabbers.
Fair enough.
Dun, dun, dun. Chapter 12.
Chapter 12, the Patronus. You mentioned it at the beginning, and I know you've heard this word before. I have. And you haven't really known what it meant or what it would. We'll get into that because we get to learn, well, for you, a lot more about it. So one new character, I believe, we get a mention of another professor, Professor Vector.
I do not remember that.
Professor Vector is the arithmancy teacher. This is one of those classes that extra classes that Hermione's taking,
right?
That Ron and Harry aren't, so we don't really get mentions of it too often. But
right.
Yeah, additional professor. So once again, I guess lets you know there are other subjects at this school, and not everybody takes them, but that means there are also more professors. They're not all double duty. It's not like McGonagall teaches arithmancy too.
Yeah,
or anything
kind of
like
feels
that.
like it sometimes, like without the mention of other professors. Like, how many classes are these teachers teaching?
Yeah, I think all the teachers are extremely specialized.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see, like, they get a new Defense Against Dark Arts teacher every year. It's not like, oh, we'll let Snape teach potions and Defense Against the Dark Arts.
Well, Snape's also being held back from teaching that class for other reasons. But...
I'm just saying, like, I believe they are all extremely specialized. They pretty much only teach one subject.
Yeah.
So.
I like it. Bonfire full of salamanders.
Yes.
I don't know what to think of this, Matt. I don't... I'm trying to picture it.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how salamanders fit in to this bonfire.
Yeah, so this is something I don't know where it started. But generally speaking, in the Muggle world, salamanders are obviously amphibious creatures.
Yeah.
So you see them in water and all that.
Sure.
And so to put them in fire seems very counterintuitive.
Right.
But Harry Potter isn't the first place that's ever done this. A lot of places where you get a sort of magical world, a fantasy world, and you get talk of salamanders, they are associated with fire.
Really?
Yeah.
This is new to me.
Yeah, so Harry Potter definitely, as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure if I'm wrong, someone let me know. But I'm pretty sure Harry Potter is not the first place to ever put salamanders in fire. But I really have no idea how it came to be because, like I said, yeah, if anything, I associate salamanders with water.
Sure. Or being like put into a boiling cauldron to use like in a potion or something.
Sure.
But not like just like this pit full of salamanders that are just running around these like logs of fire that are just, doing their thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but in the magical world, I kind of accept it as well.
Yeah.
I can't tell you why.
Strange. I like it. I appreciate it for being weird. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I wish I had more context for it, I guess. What I'm really happy about is the return of boggarts.
Yes.
I was worried that they were going to be like a one and done thing.
Yep.
They easily could have been, okay, here's a boggart. This is what they do. We're teaching a class. We're going to prove that Neville isn't, completely incompetent. And then like, why else would we need these things?
Yeah. But at the same time, I think if that were the case, the chapter title would not have been the boggart or the boggart in the wardrobe or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't recall offhand exactly what it was, but the fact
the
that
in the wardrobe.
Yeah, they named an entire chapter after it seems. If it was going to be a one and done type of thing, I think it would have been like the Defense Against Dark Arts class or something to do with Neville or Lupin as a professor. Like I think that would have made more sense than titling the chapter after the boggart.
Maybe. But I mean, we got a giant spider. Don't remember the spider's name.
Aragog.
That was a chapter name. He was only in one chapter. That was it. We had a Whomping Willow. He just had one chapter. I mean, it's been mentioned that it exists, but like no real action has taken place. I mean, I guess it did destroy Harry's broom.
I was going to say just destroyed Harry's broom.
Okay. Bad example. Yeah, I don't know.
And I mean, Aragog he was mentioned as being Hagrid's pet, and why they thought he was expelled. They thought it was the creature, and then they went to meet him in the forest, and so I mean, he kind of came back already.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you go even farther, if you go even farther to say just the spiders in general, that many of them were probably offspring of Aragog.
Sure. But boggarts could have easily been just like, we're not going to talk about it again until next book for some reason.
Yeah.
It was just refreshing to go back to them so quickly.
That I could see, yeah. Okay. Pulling it up in a later book, sure.
I'm super curious how one goes about finding a boggart.
Yeah.
Lupin said that he combed the castle for weeks trying to track one of these guys down. Like, how do you do that if they hide in places you'll never look? Like, this one was found in a filing cabinet in Filch's office. Who goes into Filch's office and looks in filing cabinets? There's nothing in those filing cabinets.
The last place he looked. Actually, there's stuff in those filing cabinets. It's all sorts of stuff in those filing cabinets. Marauders maps.
That's true, I guess. Mm.
But yeah, I can see where you're coming from, and maybe that's why it took him so long. It's like that was one of the last places he looked.
But does he have like a feeling, like a sense? Like, does he have like spider sense that works for boggarts? Like, can he feel the presence? Like, that's a big castle,
Yes,
and I assume the boggarts like are mobile, like they could move if need be.
they could, but I think once they find a place they like, they kind of stay there.
Okay. So he just looked in every single nook and cranny in the entire castle until he found one. Like, what if it wasn't even one in the castle? Like, did he know specifically there were more in the castle?
I don't
is it
think
just, like,
so.
an assumption that there probably are?
I think there's a pretty good chance, given that the castle is so big and it has a lot of dark corners.
Mm-hmm.
Because, there are places you're going to look and places you're not going to look.
Yeah.
I also think that they do kind of make some noise, because I think we get a description of the wardrobe kind of rattling.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I picture with the filing cabinet too. You hear a little rattle.
Sure.
Like, oh, what was that? What was that?
Yeah.
And it's like I said, they're the explanation for some of those things that go bump in the night. Those little sounds that you hear that you kind of write off to be nothing or just your imagination or whatever the case may be. I think that's what he was looking for. Because he has an explanation for these sounds. He knows what's making them. He knows what they are, and he just has to find one at the right time. And if you ever would go searching for those little sounds, you're not. It's going to take you a while to find it, to nail it down, or it was just your imagination.
Yeah, I guess.
But I also think that Lupin would have, being the ace defense against the dark arts teacher that he is, has a little bit of experience with this, and maybe that's something that a fully grown wizard does. Maybe that's a job, like a boggart hunter.
Sure.
Like someone can call you to their house and clean, like kind of like an exterminator.
Yeah, yeah.
Or a ghostbuster.
Sure.
Yeah,
okay.
I think maybe
But all
that's
those things
something that you can kind of train in.
Yeah. Maybe his cat senses are just really in tune. Can cats sense boggarts really well, Matt?
I don't know. Or rather, you don't know.
Somebody doesn't know here.
I might know, but
anyway, boggarts, they're a funny little thing. Then
it's true.
We got to learn, finally, Matt, the Patronus charm.
Absolutely, the Patronus charm, one of the greatest charms out there, probably.
This is a big thing. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
Can't believe you're holding out on me. You didn't even tell me this was going to be in book 3.
Well,
I mentioned Patronuses long ago, Matt.
It's true. It's true.
When the internet exploded, because on Pottermore websites you could go on there, allegedly, and get your Patronus thing. I don't know. I don't really know what Patronuses are yet, really. I know it's a charm. I know that it has happy thoughts. It's, like the equivalent of pixie dust and Peter Pan.
So yeah, the Patronus is a positive force.
Mm-hmm.
Harry wants to learn it, in particular to repel the Dementors.
Right.
I believe Lupin kind of describes it as it gives them something to feed on.
Yeah, happiness and joy.
Like that's what they want to feed on. They want to suck all that out of somebody. And so putting all that into this charm gives them something to feed on, but it won't affect you, the wizard, casting it, because it's not feeding on you then.
Right.
It's trying to feed on this charm, which essentially it can't harm.
Sure. So anyway,
but yeah, then we also learned.
Oh, I was just gonna say this website. I don't know.
Sure.
How that works, but it was a thing, Matt, that I knew people were excited about. But of course, I was banned from visiting said website.
Sure.
From indulging in whatever quiz you have to take. I assume it's probably like the quiz that I took to be sorted into the Hufflepuff house. But like people were super excited.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think we're quite to the point where maybe, I don't know. Do I have the green light yet to go investigate this further, or should I wait?
I'm going to ask you to wait.
I was afraid you're going to say that. Okay, fair enough.
So, what they tell us in this chapter specifically is that qualified wizards still have trouble with the Patronus charm, and each Patronus is unique to the wizard casting it.
Yeah.
We will learn more about Patronuses going forward.
Okay.
In this book and in future books, I'll give you that even. So this is a thing that's I think part of the reason why so many people were excited when it came out.
Okay.
Is that it's not just a one and done thing in this book even.
Okay. Fair enough.
It is something that is a big deal, or a big enough deal at least, that people are excited about it. I mean, obviously, any new Harry Potter stuff people get excited about.
Yeah, I'm noticing that.
But there are a few particular reasons I can think of in this book and future books that would excite people even more to get their hands on anything Patronus related.
Okay, fair enough. I'll wait for your approval.
I think by the time that we're done with this book, you can probably have the green light.
Okay.
But I want to wait a little bit.
Okay, fair enough. Now I do have other context for Patronus charms here, Matt.
Yep,
I do.
I figured you might.
A little game called Lego Dimensions.
Yes.
Playing as Harry Potter. One of his attacks is he shoots this giant storm of white silver blast from his wand, and he says the charm that he learns in this chapter. So now I understand.
Remember what it is?
Oh boy. I should have taken notes on it. I did not take notes on that.
Expecto Patronum.
There we go. So I've heard him say it, and I've seen him destroy some Lego bricks with it in quite a powerful force. But again, without context, it's just a magical thing that he does.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things. It's like, I mean, it's in there. You don't know about it. I don't really want to tell you too much about it, but we'll just play around with it because, it won't really mean much to you about real.
Right. This Patronus charm is pretty sweet, though.
Yeah, I would say so.
If you know how to do it.
Yeah. That's the tricky part.
Yeah. Harry has a rough go at it, learning it. One thing that I paid attention to was, okay, so they use the Boggarts to manifest into Dementors, so that Harry could practice the spell on them, because obviously you can't invite a real Dementor into the castle.
Well, I mean, they could, but they didn't want to, and obviously Dumbledore wouldn't allow it. Sure.
Yes, they could, but they'd be in bad judgment, I think.
Yeah, a lot harder time controlling a real Dementor.
Yeah. Now, one thing I don't think I've really fully understood about the Boggart's capability before, when we learn that they take the shape of whatever you're fearful of, and et cetera, is I didn't realize that they pretty much took on the abilities or the full physical representation of the thing. In my head, I saw it more as like a visual thing, like you're seeing, like Neville saw Snape in front of him. It didn't.
Sure.
In my head, I wasn't making the connection like that is a physical representation of Snape himself. So like when these boggarts are essentially, or this boggart, not plural, turns into this Dementor,
Correct.
It has the same effect on Harry that the actual Dementors do as well.
Yes.
And that's scary.
And so, yeah. This is something you kind of asked about the first time we ran into the boggarts.
Okay.
It's like you were asking, could they actually physically harm them? Would they be able to attack the students and that sort of thing? And for the time being, I had to just explain it to you as, well, that's probably not going to happen in most cases because you're going to see the thing you're most afraid of and run the other way.
Right.
But if you are going to stick around and hang around and find out or try to fight it or figure out what this thing is or what's going on with it, then yeah, now we're seeing more what could happen. Mm-hmm. It is there. It can, at least in Harry's case, physically harm you.
Right.
Now, I % would be able to complete the task to the full extent that it, but I think it could get pretty close from what we're seeing here.
Sure. Kind of frightening.
Yeah.
It's a good thing Lupin had lots
but
of chocolate
at the same time, yes. Like the other thing is the spell to get rid of a boggart, if as long as you know it's a boggart, is a lot easier than the one to get rid of a Dementor, a real Dementor.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Good call. So I'm excited. I'm excited to learn more about Patronus Charm. I'm excited to see Harry develop this. It's cool that Lupin is kind of taking him under his wing and teaching him this. They're doing it kind of after hours in the evenings, Thursday nights, I believe. So yeah, I'm curious to see where this goes. I mean, obviously this is going to be something that Harry masters, I assume. And it'll be useful going forward. But yeah, I like, because we definitely don't get like enough explanation or representation of the students like practicing their magic, you know, other than like in the class setting.
It's true.
So I like it.
Gotta practice sometime.
We had a quick mention of the quote unquote supposed Ravenclaw Quidditch team. I assume that would mean there's more than one Ravenclaw. Yet to be proven.
Sure.
So we'll see where that goes. Next chapter seems like it's going to be our Quidditch chapter. I have come to realize that there is a Quidditch chapter in every book. Like I don't know by the end of it if we're going to have like a Quidditch chapter, but it feels like there is like one chapter dedicated to a big Quidditch match per book. So
yeah,
maybe next chapter, Matt, we will finally have a verdict as to whether or not Ravenclaw House exists or not.
So I don't know if you were going to bring this up or not, but it sounds like you're just about to blow past it. So when Harry's practicing with the boggart, he hears the screaming again.
I was getting there.
But okay, you're getting there?
Yeah, but go ahead.
All right. So he, for the first time, he kind of hears the extended cut, and gets to hear his father's voice for the first time.
Yes.
In his memory, really. I mean, obviously he would have heard it as a 1-year-old as well, but
Sure.
he's not going to remember that.
Yeah.
Obviously doesn't remember that.
Right.
But of course, then when he tells Lupin about this, Lupin references him as James.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. The plot thickens here, Matt. Professor Lupin knew James Potter.
He did.
Doesn't really say how he knew him, but he knew him. Now we know James Potter knew Sirius Black.
Yes. We've been told that.
Harry is making the connection now that Lupin probably also knows Sirius Black.
That would seem to be a safe assumption.
This feels like a trio, Matt. Feels a lot like a trio.
Except I mean, we kind of already had a trio. Because we were told there was Black and Potter and Peter Pettigrew.
Peter Pettigrew. That's right.
Who hero worshipped them, I believe was
That's
the,
right. That's
the
right.
phrase.
Well, I mean, we have our trio plus Neville. You know?
Okay. I'll give you that.
But if we're to think that this isn't a trio, or maybe there already was a trio, Lupin knew them, was involved with them in somehow, shape, or form, enough on a personal basis to know, to reference James Potter by first name only. Let's just throw this out here. Let's just assume that it wasn't a trio. Let's maybe take it one step further and throw out the possibility of it being a foursome. James Potter, we know, was a troublemaker.
Okay.
Sirius Black, we know, is definitely a troublemaker.
Okay.
Lupin doesn't seem like a troublemaker. But you can't trust old hippies, okay? Like, Lupin has some stories to tell, I think. You know, he's too cool and down to earth to not have some stories in his day.
Fair enough.
And then we have Peter Pettigrew. We don't know much about him, other than there was a weird comparison to him and Neville in the last chapter.
Yeah.
Which kind of was glossed over quickly. But if Peter Pettigrew could resemble Neville, Neville would be the fourth in our foursome that we have. Granted, a smaller role than the trio would have, which would put Lupin as a main third wheel of this caravan of misfits. We have 4 people here, Matt. 4 people, potentially, with connections. They're all connected here somehow. 4. Do these 4 people have nicknames, Matt? That's the question.
What kind of nicknames?
Nicknames that might have had something to do with a map. A Marauders map, Matt.
Ah.
It's just too much of a coincidence.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Too much of a coincidence that we just have these random 4 people creating this map, this troublemaker, this group of troublemakers, that I assume go by nicknames because they just didn't seem like they were actual names. I don't know. It's too much of a coincidence for me to just gloss over as no big deal. 4 people, 4 kids, essentially. We know Sirius Black and James Potter were already troublemakers.
Yep.
We know they loved mischief, Matt.
Sure.
Did they like to manage their mischief? That's the question. And if Lupin knew him, did he go to school with him? I don't know his age. That's the thing that I'm not sure about. Is I don't know Lupin's age. Did he go to school with him? Was he older than them, younger than them? I don't think he's ever been a professor at Hogwarts until now. Right? Do we know that?
Wait, Lupin?
Lupin.
If he's been at Hogwarts?
As a professor. Like, could you be a professor at Hogwarts and then leave and then come back as a professor?
I suppose you could.
Okay.
We don't know that he has been.
Okay. But so we could assume that this is his first go round as teacher, as professor at Hogwarts.
If you wanted to.
I mean, I don't know what else to assume. I mean,
sure. I mean, in going with your theory, I think you would probably assume that.
Sure. And I don't know what else the guy's been up to his whole life. I don't know what he's been doing with his, days after Hogwarts. But I don't know age-wise how he would know James Potter and Sirius Black. If he wasn't a professor of them, you would think that he was a student with them. A peer. Okay. Them three plus Peter Pettigrew would make a nice foursome. Peter Pettigrew, I don't know if he's a troublemaker or not, but if he was if he was worshiping the ground that Potter and Black walked on, then he's probably going to go along with whatever crazy things they're getting into.
Okay.
Now, we have to go back to the theory of one of those names representing, or each one of those names representing a different house.
Yep.
Okay. We know Potter was a Gryffindor.
Yep.
We know Sirius Black was a Slytherin. Do we know that, or am I just making that up? Is that just in my head?
I think that's just in your head.
Maybe I'm just assuming because he's a bad dude.
Yeah, because we haven't really gotten much mention of Black other than he was in Azkaban and he was friends with Potter.
Sure.
But they haven't really told us much about his time at Hogwarts.
Right.
I'm pretty sure they have not mentioned a house.
Okay. Maybe I'm just, word association here. Sirius Black, Slytherin. Makes sense.
Yep.
So then Lupin and Pettigrew, I don't know, again, don't know anything about Pettigrew. Nothing. Other than he was big fans of Potter and Black. Could he be a Ravenclaw? I don't know. Could he be a Hufflepuff? Possibly. I don't know. I don't know anything about him to make that judgment. So that's what I'm getting hung up on. Professor Lupin, though, he feels like a Hufflepuff through and through, Matt.
You think so?
I think so. I just have that feeling. I know one of my own when I see them, Matt. He doesn't seem like a leader, like Gryffindor. Okay. He doesn't seem shady and questionable like a Slytherin. Ravenclaw, again, almost 3 books down, and we know nothing about that house. So I guess it's possible. I mean, they're supposed to be the intelligent bookworms. Is Lupin fit that bill? He doesn't seem like he's always reading or whatever. He seems very caring and nurturing and loving and generous and kind of just feels like a Hufflepuff.
Okay.
But I
mean, that does fit your theory. I mean, it's you could say that you're twisting it just enough to make it fit your theory.
That's true. But I do that more often than not.
From what you know now, I think it works.
I just think it's too much of a coincidence that we had 4 random people that we know nothing about creating this awesome map that were kind of hooligans. We now have the beginning, what we think might be an established foursome. Definitely a trio. Too much coincidence, Matt. I don't know.
It also would seem weird to me from we don't see a lot of intermingling between the houses, between the students.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up, Matt.
Yeah.
Because that's the perfect cover. No one would suspect a group of 4 from a different house, each one. Like, the trio that we have now, they get caught all the time because they're all in Gryffindor, right?
Sure.
Like, there's 3 Gryffindor missing. Where okay, yeah, they're up to no good. You know, they're doing something. But you take one kid from each house who, in theory, you know, are supposed to be competitive and, you know, kind of against the other houses. That's the perfect cover for a group of mischief making juvenile delinquents.
I suppose so.
Yeah. So I don't know. But maybe I'm just twisting things to make it fit. Again, without knowing more about Peter Pettigrew, I'm just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
But what we do know now is that Lupin knew James Potter. And by deduction, probably knew Sirius Black. Because Potter and Black were inseparable. It doesn't feel like you can know one without knowing the other.
We know more than that. Lupin doesn't give us a completely straight answer.
Yeah.
But he does say, because Harry asked him directly, if you knew my dad, you must have known Sirius Black as well. And Lupin turned very quickly. What gives you that idea? Nothing. I just knew they were friends at Hogwarts. And he says, yes, I knew them, or I thought I did.
Right. Good point. But then again, I mean, like anybody that went to school with them, they probably know those two. Like Fred and George, like everybody probably knows Fred and George, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, for better or for worse, you know, like in 20 years, people are going to look back and be like, yeah, there was these 2 clowns. They were twins, Fred and George. They always got into trouble. Like you would remember people that stood out for, you know, specific reasons.
Yes.
So we don't know that Lupin was friends with them or was close with them. It's very possible he just knew of Sirius Black through association with knowing James Potter.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't know. I feel like we're going to know. I just don't know when.
Seems to be headed in that direction.
Not this chapter, though, Matt.
No.
Leaving me hanging.
As we like to do.
Switching gears here, real quick.
Sure.
What in the world could Hermione be studying that would require her to pay attention to diagrams of muggles lifting heavy objects? I don't even know what that diagram would look like.
To be honest, I may have glossed over that bit. The note I made about her work was that she was writing a piece called where'd I write that down? Why Muggles need electricity?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't specifically remember the diagram you're referencing.
It was before it was talking about the paper that she was writing. Like it was when she had like stuff sorted all out on the table, and one of the things she had out, what she was looking at diagrams of Muggles lifting heavy objects.
Sure.
What? What is she doing? This lady has gone off the deep end. She's gone. I want my old Hermione back. This new girl is something else, man. I tell you.
Yeah, she's definitely a odd one.
Um, we'll find out.
Sure.
I hope. I don't know. The moment I claim to know or have figured out women is the day, you know, the sun doesn't rise anymore. Like it's, I have no idea, you know, what she could be up to. I'm not even. I can't even speculate on what. It's this giant mystery. Ron is super curious about it. Harry's just like, shut up. Like, I don't even care anymore. Like, you know, there's a guy trying to kill me. Like, I'm hearing my dad for the first time. I'm learning, like, this most advanced magic spell you could possibly, like, learn. Like, there's all these things going around, and, like, all Ron is worried about is how Hermione is taking different classes.
Yeah.
Cracks me up. I did not know that butterbeer came bottled, Matt.
It's true. Yeah.
I always imagined it as a drink that is just on tap.
Yep. And this is part of the thing that I think we've discussed is like, is it alcoholic or not? And just one more reason that always makes me think that it is. But we get this bottled butterbeer, which every other description we've gotten of butterbeer so far has been hot butterbeer or warm butterbeer. Mm-hmm. And so in my mind, unless I could be magically enchanted, fine, to stay warm. But I'm thinking this bottled stuff is probably not warm.
Right.
I think this is the room temperature stuff that you can find just about anywhere in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. And it's honestly what I consider like the original butterbeer.
Sure.
I was honestly surprised when I was reading through it this time to realize that the first mention we got was of hot butterbeer. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't remember that.
Right. Well, I mean, like, if you're at an establishment where they're serving it, like, you know, I don't know how often you hang out in bars, Matt, but, like, you could order a bottle of beer, but it's more likely, like, if you order a beer, you're going to get it in a glass, right?
Absolutely.
It's usually from tap,
yep.
Unless specifically mentioned that you want a bottle of something. So that's how I kind of associated butterbeer, you know, with just, like, this is a thing that you could go into, you know, an establishment that's serving it, yep. 3 broomsticks per se, and order one up, and you know, they'll serve it up for you. Like, it blows my mind that you could get the stuff in 6-packs. You know, like
exactly. Lupin had a 6-pack sitting there in his office,
which cracks me up. I want one. I want a 6-pack, Matt.
Yeah.
Why are they not selling this?
I honestly think they want to keep that magic. They want the exclusivity to stick to the parks as much as they can, make as much money off of it.
But
yeah,
it just feels like they're sitting on a gold mine, you know?
Oh yeah, they are, but they're also making plenty of money the way they are too. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The Dementors get worse each time we talk about them.
Absolutely.
The more we learn, the more frightened I am of these things. The Dementor's kiss sounds frightening.
Yep.
There's nothing good that comes of these things. At all.
Not so much. No.
I do like the mention of the organization that is hunting Sirius Black. What's the governing body called?
The Ministry of Magic.
Sure. They have officially given permission to the Dementors to give him a Dementor's kiss if caught.
Yep.
I don't feel like Dementors really care about having permission. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't strike me. They don't strike me as creatures that are like, I really want to do this, but we didn't get the green light, so we gotta hold back. You know, like, they don't care.
that's it's kind of a gray area now. It's something we learn a little bit more about, but ultimately, I'm with you that I think the Dementors would kind of, if given that chance, just kind of go ahead and do it anyway, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
That's why they're there. That's more or less their purpose in life or death or whatever they are. But
It just doesn't. They suddenly get less frightening when they are under the control of a governing body.
Yeah,
You know,
I can see where you're coming from, but that's something that we hear of again later on too. That the Dementors, at least the Dementors of Azkaban, I should say, are under the control of the Ministry.
Sure. But is there like a leader of the Dementors, like who gets the memo from?
I don't know that much. I can't say that much, but it is definitely a thing that basically, I guess you would say the Ministry brought the Dementors to Azkaban in the first place and said, "Hey, we have all these people here you can feed on.
Right.
We don't want you to kill them necessarily and give them the kiss, but we'll let you sit here and feed on them 24 hours a day."
Yeah, I mean, it kind of has felt like a symbiotic relationship, you know, like the prison needs them as guards.
Yep.
And they need the people that they're bringing in as prisoners to feast on, so that they have worked out like this unspoken agreement between the two parties of, you know, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Like, and then to turn around and be like, well, they're limited in what they could do, because unless they get the green light from the Ministry, they're kind of gonna hold back, you know, like that makes them less frightening.
Less frightening to some, sure, but like you said, if given the chance, if Dumbledore let the Dementors roam through the castle, the vast majority of the people in the castle, meaning all the students, don't know how to defend themselves against Dementor, and they're kind of just gonna do their thing. Who's gonna stop them?
Yeah, but I don't see that as like permission granted. I see it as like Dumbledore is just like, step back before, you know, we get crazy up in here. Like, we will keep you at bay by any means necessary. You know, just stick to your assigned route, you know, essentially. Like, it doesn't feel like Dumbledore's just like, nope, you're not allowed in here. Here's the list of rules that you can and cannot abide by. Like, I don't see it as structured as more like Dumbledore's like threatening them. If you step in Hogwarts, it's going to get crazy up in here.
Sure.
But I don't know. Maybe it is more structured. Maybe they are, you know, more controlled beings than I gave them credit for. Hard to say.
Yep.
Harry gets a firebolt back conveniently before the big match. Mm-hmm.
Very conveniently, yes.
For as much guff as McGonagall was giving specifically Oliver Wood about like getting the broom back in time and like not caring about Quidditch.
Well, you kind of get the idea that Wood was being a real pest about it.
Yeah, but I mean,
like Harry wanted his broom back, but I think Oliver was kind of up in McGonagall's face all day, every day.
Yeah,
it's like, come on, you want us to win too? You know you do.
That's the
Where's
thing.
The broom?
Like,
there's nothing wrong with it.
I feel like he felt like he was able to do that because he knew how much it meant to her. You know,
it's true.
So just very convenient that he got it back just in time.
Yeah,
jinx free.
Yes,
allegedly. We assume.
That's what we've been told.
Mm-hmm. We'll find out. Next chapter.
Next
The
chapter.
next chapter is the Quidditch chapter of the book. But before we get to Quidditch, I feel like we're going to have to resolve something big.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Scabbers? Question mark?
It's looking that way.
Scabbers is gone. Blood on the bed sheets. Crookshank's nowhere to be found. Lupin mysteriously gone.
Yep.
Weird.
Absolutely.
Not sure what that's about, Matt.
We'll find out.
Hopefully. We have to get through the Quidditch match first.
It's true.
So, next week, we will be covering chapters 13 and 14 of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. A lot of stuff happened these last two chapters. My theories have gone deeper down into the rabbit holes.
I'd
for
say
better
so.
or for worse. Not the best two chapters. I think the second one was far more enjoyable because of the Patronus charm and me having context for stuff now. That's always good.
Yep. Like that.
But the first one was just full of just death and murder and R.I.P.
Sure.
Flobberworms.
Yeah, and
May we
that's
never forget
always
that.
chapters like that always make it a little harder for me to write the Muggle poll then too.
What was the Muggle poll this week?
Muggle poll, I took 2 items of interest from this chapter and asked right now, would you rather have one single bottle, just one bottle of butterbeer, or a bonfire full of salamanders?
Me personally, Matt, you
Yeah.
know, my affinity for weird creatures.
Yep.
And why salamanders are not normally known as weird and unusual or fantastic beasts. The fact that these ones just kind of hang out in a fire pit and create a bonfire makes me want those. Granted, a bottle of butterbeer sounds delicious right now. But I feel like I would just be sad after finishing it.
Sure.
You know? Like it would satisfy me for just a little bit, but then I would just be sad and depressed afterwards. Whereas if I had a bonfire with salamanders, that'd probably be the best experience of my life.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
can see
where
it.
I leaned.
All right. I personally would also go with the butterbeer, I think. Because as much as I like bonfires, and as cold as it is here right now in Wisconsin, I still kind of butterbeer.
Yeah.
I really do. So I'm going with the audience here at 84% for butterbeer and 16% for the salamanders. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I kind of expected it.
And then I think if you don't have anything else,
Do we have
We-
an email?
do have one email.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Naturally, our one email this week is from our favorite fan, Alex.
Hi,
Atari
Alex.
Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Dear Josh and Matt, I'm afraid I don't have a witty icebreaker for my email this week, so let's get right into the pointing out the weird stuff. Was Professor Quirrell really a bad teacher? Sure, he was a bad guy who had the spirit of an evil murderer living on the back of his head, but it has nothing to do with his ability to teach students. If anything, that gives him more qualification on the subject of the dark arts than most people. Granted, he was feigning a speech impediment that made him a bit harder for him to get the point across, but as long as he had the knowledge, and we don't have any evidence that he didn't, I think he would have been an acceptable pedagogue.
Let me offer a rebuttal to that.
Sure.
His job as a professor was to teach defense against the dark arts.
Yep.
Kind of feels like he was completely consumed by the dark arts, which means he didn't do a very good job of defending against it.
I would agree.
So, while he may have a very dark creature living on the back of his head, it just doesn't feel like if he was as good as he should have been as a professor, that wouldn't have happened.
I like that argument.
Yeah.
Yep. As for the Whomping Willow, or when the Whomping Willow was planted on the school grounds, I had always pictured the tree being large, but not quite having reached full size yet. An adolescent tree, if you will. Although I do get a kick out of imagining a sapling Whomping Willow trying to pick fights with people, but only being able to scratch them.
I think that's the equivalent of Baby Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, guess they have to start up the size sometime.
Yeah.
And last but not least, how does a wizard baptism work? The reveal of Sirius being Harry's godfather is the first mention we've gotten of religion in the books yet, as J.K. Rowling goes to some length to tell us in Fantastic Beasts, religion and magic are not very compatible. So what gives?
I mean, you can look at it as more of like an honorary title.
Yeah. That I mean, that's kind of where I put it. Like, yeah. I honestly, I would have to say there are non-religious people out there who probably still appoint a godfather. Mm-hmm. Like I even think of like the Godfather movies.
Right.
And like, I think that's mainstream enough that people know the term Godfather.
Sure.
And I mean, it's obviously a little bit different in the movies, I know, but
yeah. Well, I also think like it seems to be like in mainstream, from the people that I've known throughout my life, it's more of a recognition for a very close family friend that isn't blood related. Like the child could grow up and call the person their uncle, you know.
Yep.
But they're not really related by blood or marriage. So like the Godfather title is like a way to kind of officially bring them into the family in a way, without, you know, like not necessarily by going through a baptism and all that. Like, sure, I have known people, you know, that have, you know, became godparents through, you know, the kids being baptized and all that stuff. Like there is a religious angle to it, but yeah, I don't think
that's definitely where it got started.
Sure,
but it's gone past that now.
Yeah. But a wizarding baptism, though, interesting.
Yeah, I when she wrote this, I don't think she was trying to imply any sort of religion being involved. I think it was more in the sense of, yeah, someone essentially that you could call an uncle as you're growing up.
Yeah. Someone that you would trust as a brother.
Yeah.
You know.
Which James Potter obviously did.
Yeah. Although, look, if there's going to be a baptism, it's probably happening in the Great Lake with the giant squid. So, you know, like how giant squids factor into religion, you know, like that's a whole nother discussion.
Okay. Yeah. I hadn't even thought of the lake. Yeah. But yeah, that would work.
Matt, I think about the lake way too often.
I'm sure you do.
I wish I could properly convey how often I really honestly thought about that lake and that giant squid. Like, as I'm reading these books and I'm envisioning the castle and the grounds surrounding it, I am always curious as to the location of whatever's happening and the lake and how close that thing is and what the squid is up to. What's it feasting on? What's going on over there? I honestly think about that probably at least one time a week.
Well, I'll give you this to think about.
We'll never see the squid again.
I can't guarantee anything about the squid, but we will get to explore the lake more. So Alex finished his email. Anywho, on to this week's chapters. Harry gets much better presents than I ever got. That's all. Thanks, Alex.
Oh, Alex.
So there you have it.
Well, thank you, Alex, for writing in, as always. Matt.
Yes.
This was a show.
It was a show.
This was an episode. I don't know if you were 100% ready for the things that we talked about.
No, not entirely.
And I don't know what to think of that. But I liked where we went. I liked the journey that we went on tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely threw some things out there I was not expecting.
Yeah.
It's hard to play with them on the fly sometimes.
There's a reason why you don't read my notes ahead of time.
Yep.
If I'm asked to give genuine reactions on the show week in and week out, the least that we could ask of you is to react to my reactions on the fly. But like, hey, you just went to a poker party. You still have your poker face on.
It's true.
You've been doing this for months now with me. You're getting pretty good at it. So, with that being said, next week, I feel something strong. Something exciting happening.
Yeah.
There'll probably be some incident at the Quidditch match, because there always is. And then after that chapter, we're going to get into something. I don't know what, but we're going to get into something. Some answers need to start happening.
Okay.
Next week, chapters 13 and 14 of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. We'll be back to normal recording schedule next week. So next Monday night we will be recording. Podcast will be up Tuesday. That's all of the show that we have this week. You can find me personally on Twitter at The Noise with a Y. Please be sure to follow the show on Twitter at Tales from GH. And if you would like to support us, like so many of you already are, on Patreon, you could do so over at patreon.com/Tales from Godric's Hollow. Matt, where can people find you at, my friend?
You can get a hold of me personally on Twitter at As a Matter of Matt. Or if you want to get a hold of me in a little longer form, you can always send an email directly to me at talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com. And as always, those are emails only I see. Josh only sees them if I think he needs to. So feel free to write away anything you want to talk about there.
Yes. Getting close. This journey is heating up quickly. I appreciate everybody for listening. Appreciate all of the feedback. I know Matt actively searches out feedback from people away from the show.
Through various channels.
None of which I know anything about, which frightens me beyond belief, but I try not to think about it too much, and instead I go to my happy place by the lake and the giant squid, and just think about all the flubberworms that we lost this chapter. Until next week, Muggle out.
Mischief managed.